Hello. Hi. So this is, what day is it? It's October 10th. This is Drew. Um, I've got myself a microphone. I've got a new microphone. I bought it from the Book Off, which I don't know why they call it a Book Off, but that's what it is. It's like a secondhand bookstore, but it's kind of like a half price books. But after being a half price books, they also bought they also started to buy hardware, secondhand hardware, and so they changed their name from Book Off to Hard Off, and then they also added in like furniture and clothes and plates and stuff. So now it's like Off House. So Book Off, Hard Off, Off House. They were selling a microphone there for 3,000 yen. That was about what is that in American? I don't care. But it was the same microphone that I had paid for the last time I was in Japan. I bought, and it's pretty good. It's not as good as my one in America, um, but it's gonna do me just fine. So 10/10/2017, I'm in Japan, sitting around in Japan. And this is sorry. This is just, I guess I don't know. I guess I don't know what this is. It's just me recording something. There's a lot of people who are, they tell me every day, well, they don't tell me every day because I don't speak to them every day is really the problem. They tell me whenever they see me that they miss me or they don't get to speak to me enough, because I think my schedule now is the exact opposite of basically everyone I know's schedule. That being that I'm really only available now, which is 8:30 at night, and in America it is currently phone. It's currently 6:30 a.m. in America. So none of my friends are up, all nocturnal, and Kim's not up because she has to sleep in order to take care of her sister, and my mom gets up around 2 hours, maybe around 7 or 6:30 sometimes. But my phone has stopped cooperating. Excuse me, has stopped cooperating with sending text messages, so can't really speak to her either. So I've decided to just sorry to record some stuff. And I don't know what I did with my water. Where'd my water go? Oh, it's over there by the. It's in the kitchen. Anyway, so I'll just talk about my day to day and other things that are going on with me. It's been 3 minutes already, and I haven't really said anything perfunctory. Um, Last weekend, so 3 days ago, I had a 3 day weekend. Or sorry, I didn't have a 3 day weekend because I don't have Saturdays off. I had a 2 day weekend, which is, it doesn't sound like a lot, because it's not, but it's more than I usually get. So hey, um, having this 2 day weekend was pretty nice. And so what I did with it is, instead of doing anything really productive, I did do laundry, and I went and I bought a couple of things from the grocery and a couple of things from the dollar store. And I spent most of my time sitting around and playing video games and eating junk food and watching Taiga drama. So there's an NHK. My mom knows NHK. Um, there's a drama that they do every year, and it runs for the whole year basically, and they're always set in some kind of samurai time. Um, the one I'm watching is about Date Masamune. He's played by Ken Watanabe, he's an actor who's been in a lot of things in America. He's probably one of the more well-known Japanese actors these days. He was in Inception and Godzilla, and he was the main English-speaking samurai in The Last Samurai. So He's a very popular actor. So I'm watching this. It was filmed in 1994, and so it's older. But I don't mind watching old samurai TV shows. But whenever I try to talk to my students about it, they say that all these dramas, these historical reenactments, are like only old people watch them because they're like an hour long or like 40 minutes long because they were on TV, and they're like a 30 episode format. Like they play almost every week. So, but they usually follow like a person's whole life or something like that. And so it's really interesting to me. And a lot of the characters that they choose are very a lot like the story that I'm currently watching is very Game of Thrones esque. You know, in Game of Thrones, you watch kind of Daenerys or Jon Snow, and they've got like the people around them, and there's drama, and there's a looming threat, and there's things like that. Um, so most of the going ons of the show are really more about the people drama and the political drama, and it's really interesting to me that this long form political drama has been going on in Japan for so long now, set in all these historical times, and currently Game of Thrones is going on, and nobody in Japan even knows what Game of Thrones is because it's not HBO isn't really available to them. But anyway, I'm up to date with Game of Thrones mostly. I think everybody is now. They once they heard that the series was going to end, everybody caught up on Game of Thrones. Um, Other than that, let's see. Today I ate McDonald's and some stuff from the convenience store, chicken nuggets from the convenience store, which is boring. I know you don't really care about what I eat, but maybe you're interested. I had a double cheeseburger from McDonald's, so I get a double cheeseburger and like a medium fry and like a medium soda. The soda is still abysmally small. A medium and a large, both of them here are like a small in America, but the fries have gotten bigger, so I think McDonald's is probably too much. The problem that I have is that where I'm at, there's a McDonald's less than 10 minutes walk away, less than 3 minutes by car. Like it's next door, so I can just go there anytime, and it's really dangerous for me. I think to just have such access to fast food because even in America, I don't have such quick access to fast food. It's crazy. The only problem is that they're not open really late, but I don't get to stay up very late anymore, which is another bummer to me. Maybe I get to stay up until midnight or 2 on average. I have a class tomorrow morning. I have a kindergarten class. So my class tonight, let's see. Today I had Tachibana Kindergarten, which is not too far. It's about 15 minutes away. And the kids in that class are just now old enough to start learning letters and handwriting, which is something that my last school started to do like immediately. They were like, as soon as you start to learn English, you're going to learn handwriting and you're going to learn letters. I think it's pretty important. I think that it's really disappointing to me when I meet somebody who knows a word but doesn't know how to spell it. Um, it's odd when you're teaching English, like what you're teaching them or what you want to teach them is you want to teach them the version of English that you know. And since every English teacher that comes over here has to have a college degree in order to get the basic visa that allows for that, they're all literate, right? They're above literate, super literate. I don't know what smart people. Fuck it. Anyway, the so you meet somebody and you're speaking with them and you're trying to come down to their level of comprehension, which is another reason why I just wanted to do this. Every time it's so odd because I spend my whole day talking, and I remember when I first started to do the job at Geico Center back in 2015, I really didn't like coming home from a long day of talking, and then now I'm gonna talk some more. So that sucked for me. Um, but now I don't mind it so much because so much of my time is split up between like excuse me, driving and dealing with kindergarten students. Is that really my problem these days is that I don't have any students that are super. I have one student who's very good at English, but even then, my boss doesn't like to talk to me, and I don't have any coworkers. So I find that a lot of my days I spend in like silence, where I'm not really getting to speak at a rate or at a pace that I'm comfortable with. Everybody that teaches English over here, they fall into this rhythm to where they'll kind of pause in strange places. Like maybe I have right now. Maybe I sound weird. I can't tell. But they'll give lots of pause, or at least for me. And maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just doing it because they say that I'm easy to understand. So maybe that's why. It's because I'm just being automatically considerate. Um, but the the thing is that I don't get to speak at a normal pace in a normal way. I don't get to swear. I really like to swear and use cuss words. Sorry, mom. But they're really, they're an integral part of day-to-day life when you're like a young man in America, and not getting to use them is probably better. It probably makes me look like a more like a gentleman or something. But I get in my car after doing like a bad kindergarten class where all the kids are running around and not paying attention, and Yoko hates me and all that shit. And I just want to like scream fuck really loud, or just say fuck to somebody and have them go like, yeah, man, I really miss having a coworker like Ty to really kind of like, having one other person to be in the shit with you makes things so much more tolerable. Even if they're not dealing with the exact same shit that you're dealing with, having Ty there just to be like, yeah, I know, like he works with the same boss in the same building, and he has some of the same students. He knows what it's like, and if I have trouble, I can, ask him about it. But I can't really do that um, here because I'm just alone. So I had Tachibana, and the kids are working on their handwriting and their spelling, so that's easy. No problems there. Um, we have these flashcards that we use for colors and for clothes. So like, what color is this? It's red. What color is this? It's green. And then also for those clothes, we'll have we'll point after we've done all the colors. We'll point to them and say, "What is this?" And then they're supposed to say like, "It's a red dress," or "They are blue jeans," or something. So today they didn't really remember because we didn't have class last week, because October has like an extra Monday or an extra Tuesday, I forget. So because they do like a sports day, which is kind of like what was it called in PE, and what did we call it back in Parang? Anyway, they have like a PE day. It's called Sports Day here, and it functions kind of like the one that we had in America. But because of that, it was supposed to be on a Saturday, and then the Saturday got canceled because of a typhoon. So they moved it to a Monday, and then that messed up all the other schedules for the classes. The typhoon didn't really come, but everybody canceled all their stuff anyway because they're like, "Oh no, the world is ending. It's a typhoon," and I don't blame them because I go around teaching lessons about here's Hurricane Ike. Do you remember this? No. Here's Hurricane Harvey. Have you heard about this thing? Oh, hi, news this. Um, so after Tachibana, I have like an hour and a half. So I ate McDonald's. I go into they have a deal at the McDonald's by my place to where like normally you can get like a double cheeseburger and like fries and a drink, and that's like 700 yen. It's like $7, maybe a little less, like 650. But if you go during lunchtime, you get like 500 yen, which is like $5. So it's a pretty good deal. It's a lot of food for $5, especially for Japan. Um, so I had that and came home, ate that. got ready, and then went to my second class, Shin Kamihara. And Shin Kamihara is another elementary school class, but it's the one I keep complaining to my mom about. It's the one I teach alone. And it's it sucks. I don't really want to sugarcoat it. I hate that class. I've never hated a class as much. I hated my kindergarten class back when I was doing it with Sarah. I had one kindergarten class a week, and it was because she made me into a dancing monkey. And Yoko doesn't make me into a dancing monkey. She kind of does. But mainly, she doesn't force me to shave every day. She doesn't complain about my appearance. She judges my appearance, of course, but she doesn't complain about it. Like if I have like a full beard, which I've let my facial hair grow out pretty long just to see what she would say. She never said anything, so I decided to shave it on my own. But you know, but then she'll tell me about other students that she's had previously. Like she had a student who would wear sandals to every class that they did, even when it was like a corporate class. And she was talking about how disrespectful that was for him just to wear sandals all the time. And I was like, how old was that guy? And she was like 25, and I was like, I guess I would have done some. I wouldn't have, but I know people who would have done something like that. Robbie. But JK. So I had Shin Kamihara, and that sucked. It got a little better every week. It's like downloading like 100 megabyte file, 1 megabyte per week, you know? Or like trying to fill a 10-gallon bag with like a half gallon a week. I don't know. I don't have a good analogy here. It takes a long time to get them to learn anything. And the messed up thing is that like I'll do the class and then they'll know all the stuff. Like they'll know the flashcards, they'll know the greeting, they'll know the song, whatever. They'll do all that. But they still don't want to behave. And I'm not really allowed to teach outside of it because it's the style of the school. I'm just not allowed. I'm not allowed to really make my own lessons. It's interesting that at my last class, I had to make my own lessons, but I had to make them within the style of the school. In this class, I don't really have the opportunity to make any of my own lessons. And I think that it probably is better for me at this point. I get to make all of my own lessons for the adult classes. The corporate classes. So I get to make those, and then that's okay. So I have to make kind of one lesson a week, basically, and I can use it for all of them. Which, if I tried to do that at Geigo Center, I would usually get in trouble because I had to make a lesson for the children, too. And this would often entail, taking like the lesson I made for the week and then chopping it down. Like I want to talk about this Japanese TV show I just started watching, and for like the corporate classes, like I talk about that in full, and for the kindergarten class or for the younger students, I might have an elementary school student who also has a private lesson. Like I might chop that down to be like, do you like samurai kind of thing, and yeah, it's dumb. So. But if I really had the opportunity to do it, I'd probably just do the same thing again. Because, like, that's where like, if I'm going to fall back on experience, that's what I'm going to do. Anyway, so, tonight, after Shin Kamihara is hell, but it's only 30 minutes. So, you can endure a lot of things for 30 minutes. You don't really have to. If you imagine everything in your life that's ever been terrible, and then someone tells you it'll be over in 30 minutes, like and then like you don't have to deal with it again for another week. Like imagine all of your grief, and then somebody's just like, "This is gonna go away for a week." After you have to come in here and like go to hell and be hot, and they're gonna poke you with a pitchfork for 30 minutes, and like all the little children are gonna dance around you like devils, and they're gonna say, and they're gonna like squeal and do that crap. And then after 30 minutes, English school is over. We are going home. That's the song we play whenever the class ends. So after 30 minutes, you get that thing. Bam, you're out. You're out the door. You don't have to worry about those little dirt children again. Just go back to your whatever life. But I worry about sometimes I worry about like if they go home and then their parents are like, "Oh, Yuki, tell me about your English class," and then the kid will say something like, "Every time Eigo Sensei shows up, he looks like he just got diagnosed with a terminal illness or something." And then that'll get back to me somehow. I never know what's going to come back to my boss. Um, Tonight, I was working at a company class, Chiton, and I was asking them why. So I have 2 students that are regular, and I've got like 5 students who aren't. And I asked the 2 students, like, why doesn't the company utilize your English? And they were like, well, it's not really our place. We're just research. They're in like R&D, their chemical research department. And I'm like, well, then why do they pay for you to learn English? And they're like, we don't know. And I was like, well, Confucius would say that if you've got 2 guys that speak good English and you're paying for English lessons for them every week, not that I'm not grateful or anything, but I would really like to see you guys like be able to use your English in a greater capacity, you know. And they were just like, shrug. It's not the way of their company or whatever, or it's not their place or something. Maybe when they become managers in the far future, they'll get to use this English. But anyway, sometimes I feel like with my English learning students, like what they're doing is they're practicing every day for one moment, you know? And I don't blame them for that. I felt like I had a one moment earlier tonight. When I first came home, I had a couple of women standing outside of my apartment, and I was like, oh shit, what did I do wrong? That's really kind of the feeling that you have in Japan. Like as soon as anybody like that you don't know like tries to engage with you, and you're like, oh crap, are they talking to me because I'm white, or are they talking to me because I fucked up something? No, they're asking me if I had seen any like suspicious people because like there was a bicycle parked downstairs that they don't know. So they were like, whose bike is this? And I was like, I don't know. But it took me like 30 minutes to get to that point to where it was like, I don't know, because I didn't know the word for bicycle. I feel like I did, but I didn't understand what they were asking me. So I was like, here, there's my boss's phone number is on my car. So like call that if you need help. And then I kind of went with my apartment, and then I was like, well, fuck it, because they're still outside talking. And then so I came back out with like my phone, and I used Google Translate, and I was like, you're talking to this. And then they tried for a while, and then they were like, they kind of communicated that it was about the bike, and I was like, okay, well, I didn't see anything. I'm sorry. I don't speak any Japanese. In the future, if you like leave me a note in the mailbox or something, I can read it easier than I can listen to it, which is true. And if nothing else, like they can give it to me at any time of the day, and I can just take it the next morning to Yoko and be like, what the fuck is this? Anyway, what else? So I got paid end of last week, and I didn't get paid. Sorry, I didn't get paid very much money. But that's because I had a debt. I took an advance on my paycheck, and I had debt to pay to my boss because of some car trouble. So I decided over the weekend because I had time, and my credit card had been paid down by my mom, that I was just going to take out the $1,000 that I owed to my boss, because firstly, it's way too much fucking money for what happens. It's outrageous. I pay $100 a month for insurance. They didn't offer to pay for any of that, so I'm pretty sure she didn't report it, because it would have been a bigger hassle than having me pay back the cash, which is like, no, it's not. She shouldn't get to decide that, but she technically owns both of those cars, so I guess she should get to decide that. It's whatever. So what I decided to do, because I knew like I had no say in any of it, and it was just hanging over me like a big dark depression cloud. I just took $1,000 out of my credit card, and I did that at the ATMs around here. I use my Discover as a debit card, and I just like take the money out, and I gave it to her, and then now that's square now. So now I have to pay back that to the credit card, which is a lot of money, but you got to do what you got to do, right? You can't just let the debt go. And now that I have that, now that I have that paid, I feel a lot better about my like day-to-day life, and like thinking about how I'm going to be able to make it until my next paycheck, or how I'm going to be able to bring Kim here. Is that now that I have that debt squared away and it's on the credit card, and um I guess I feel like, because she has a private business, she employs foreigners, and she's kind of my only. Here's the thing. So I heard a story about Jamie, my predecessor. And because the boss's number is on the car, one time Jamie was driving down the highway to go back to Hikari because he lived an hour and a half away. He was living with his girlfriend, who was also an ALT, and she lived in Hikari City. So he was driving down the highway, and some hoodlums were driving next to him, and the boss's number is on the car. So what they did is they called her, and they said that he was drinking while he was driving, which wasn't true. But they were just playing a prank. But they don't, probably those kids didn't realize that even the accusation of something like that can get you kicked out of the country. You lose your job, and you've got like a black spot on you for kind of the rest of forever. And I thought about, after this car accident thing, I thought if that had happened to me, would Yoko believe them? Would she defend me in that scenario? And I thought that if I'm if I pay off this money, maybe it'll show to her that I'm responsible, and that I'm not gonna just like welsh out on a debt, or I'm not just gonna like drop the job and leave the country and bounce or something. I wouldn't do that. So I paid the money because I wanted to restore that kind of level to the relationship that I have to have at this job, because I don't have anybody else to work with. So I did that, and I've got to pay that back on my credit card, but that can stay forever, and it doesn't affect my life here that much. What else is there to say? I got the box from my mother, and that was very kind. Thanks, Mom. Had a lot of cool stuff in there. I've got some sweet tea now I can drink. I don't have to drink Coca-Cola every day. Which is really good, because I was drinking Coca-Cola and Dr. Pepper and water, and mostly water, but those other two things, whenever I had a meal, I would probably drink a soda. But now that I have sweet tea, I can drink that instead, which is maybe not healthier for me. It's the same kind of bad sugary health, but getting rid of garbage in Japan is such a pain in the ass that like having just like, okay, fill this with water, and you take this tea bag, which you can throw away and burn. It can go in the burnables, and then you can just keep drinking this instead of having a bottle or a can left over. Because when it comes to those bottles and cans, like I have to kind of go and throw them away at the 7-Eleven. It's such a hassle. I know this doesn't really seem like a big complaint to a lot of people, but it's such a complaint that I think that every foreigner eventually decides like how they're going to get rid of this trash that's really been bothering them, and they have to go like throw it away when nobody's looking or something like that. So, what else? I think I can call it there. Tomorrow is Futaba, which is spelled with an H. And it's another kindergarten, but it's my best kindergarten class by far, because it's like 30 kids. It's a lot of kids, but there's 3 teachers that sit from the kindergarten that sit in the room and just flank the kids. And so like they don't act up at all. They don't do any acting up, because they know that if they do, like they gonna lose they're gonna get their ass beat. That's what's gonna happen. Because in Japan, they still beat ass when it comes to kids acting up. And boy, do I want to beat my Shin Kamihara classes upside the bottom sometimes. Give them a spank, just give them a slap or something. But at the same time, I'm really due to some recent events with somebody else that I'm not going to talk about. Really, I'm really kind of embarrassed by that sort of behavior. Like if I can just be a good enough teacher, I won't ever have to resort to that kind of thing. But I think maybe there's some kids that could benefit from it. It's strange. My feeling as a teacher is that I think that there's some kids who could use a pop upside the head and that it'll set them straight. But my failing as a teacher is that I think there's some kids that the only way to fix them is to pop them upside the head. And I know that that's not true and that those kids could also grow in some other way. And as a teacher, I just have to find that way. I have to figure out that methodology that doesn't involve such a direct walloping. In Japan, a lot of the teachers carry around shinai, the kendo sword, the wooden bamboo sword, and they like whack kids on the desk and they whack them on the back and things like that. I might start doing that someday. If it's kosher, maybe I'll do that to Shin Kamiara. Show up with my shinai and then be like, I'm a whoop on you, but they won't understand anyway. It's part of my problem. Tomorrow I have Futaba, and then I have crap. What do I have? Hold on. Hold on. Well, okay. So I have like oh. Why did I do that? I went to go look at my schedule on my magnet refrigerator. But what I need to do instead is go look at my Google Calendar, which has a better source of my schedule. Because schedule changes so often that that my paper schedule is only for September, and it's not super valid right now. Does Google Drive have calendar in it? No, it's its own thing. Please load Google Calendar. Sorry, I'm gonna finish this. I'm gonna finish this real quick. It's already been like 32 minutes, so I'm gonna finish it up soon. Let's see. Yeah, so I have a dead after Futaba. I have a dead time. Yeah, okay. So at 10:30, I have to go pick up Yoko. At 11, I have Futaba, and then it's only. I usually get home around 12:15. It's only like a 40-minute class. And then at 2:30 again, so I have a dead time between like 12 and 12:30. And then at 2:30 again, I go to the school and I have a 2-hour class with two pretty advanced young girls. They spent some time in America, so their English is a lot better than the average Japanese student, but it's still not good. I'd say that their English is probably at about the same level as the corporate classes that I teach. And then as soon as that class ends, I have to drive really fast to Kyoe. Kyoe is interesting. It's filled with a bunch of like kind of tough guys, but they invited me to a barbecue for this. Is that this weekend? The 16th? No, it's the 15th. Yeah. Okay. So it's Sunday. So I'm supposed to go to a barbecue on Sunday with them. The interesting thing about Kyoe is that they're a steel company, and they're like a recycled steel company. So they take a lot of like scrap, and they like forge it back into steel and then like sell it again. And so the interesting thing though is that in January they bought a place called Vinton Steel in El Paso, Texas. So they only have one location in all of America, and it's in El Paso, which is so odd to me. but it's basically because that factory went under, and they were looking for a foothold in America, and so they picked El Paso because it's right on the border. So that's a good strategic location, I think. But who knows? Maybe I can get them to give me a job back in Texas, and I can work for a Japanese company in America, and then that'll fulfill my desires for an international career. And then yeah, so after that, usually that class ends. So I do 3 to 5 for the advanced girls. At 5, I have a 40-minute drive they have to make in 30 minutes. So I really hot foot it over to Kyoei in bad traffic because it's 5 o'clock. And then that class lasts from 5:30 until 6:30. And then usually because that place is right next to a Subway, I go to Subway, and I get one Subway a week, and it's kind of expensive. It's not nearly as cheap as McDonald's, but it's also not as generous as the Subway back in America. But it's usually cleaner, and the food tastes pretty good. They do oil and vinegar, and so I can get kind of like a great outdoors kind of sandwich going there. It's one of the healthiest things that we can eat in the week, except for on Thursdays where I just eat a freaking salad. Um, but anyway, so that's tomorrow. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go try and kick it for about 3 hours, relax, watch some more of this Taiga drama, maybe make some more tea, maybe play like an hour of video games or something, and then go to bed. So anyway, I'll do another recording like this sometime soon. Talk to you later.